Hi, my name is Paul Wallace, and you probably recognize me from the earlier video that I made. And if you didn't see that video, then my name is still Paul Wallace, and I'm your instructor this summer for Astronomy 120. So welcome to the class. This should be a really interesting time for both you and for me because I've never done an online class before. And so this should be interesting. We'll be working this out together. Most of you, I think, have not taken an online class before. So here's the basic picture. The basic picture, the first things you need to know is that there will be no traditional lecture of any kind. There will be periodically probably short videos that I'll make for you to address questions and to prepare you maybe for that day's work. Those will show up in the mornings and will be made not ahead of time, but more real time throughout the semester. That's my hope. I think the videos will work. I think that's probably a better way of doing it. If I'm not always able to do that, I'll at least send an email out every day to keep everybody posted and to address issues. There's other ways of doing that too, online on the Moodle site, especially under the right on the front. There's a news and announcements forum that will be there also for announcements. But I will try to keep, the problem with a course like this is that you can sometimes feel disconnected from your instructor, and I don't want that to happen. I got into teaching because I like teaching. And so I want to try to remain as connected with you as possible throughout the course. Now it's only a 4.5. Really, they say 5 weeks, but it's really 4.5. It's going to be rather intensive. I know that at least one of you, maybe more, are taking other classes. It will require, for those of you who are doing nothing else, it will still require a lot of focus and keeping up and effort. Because you're getting 4 credits for the course with the lab and so forth. So you'll be moving, and we'll all be moving, and it will take a good deal of time every day. So be prepared for that. That's the first thing you need to know about it, is that it's going to go quite fast. What I'm going to do is I've posted already a syllabus. Looks something like this online there under the little Saturn icon on the Moodle page. And what I want to do is just sort of step through this with you. Not every bit of it, but I think it's good just to this way I won't miss anything. That's the dream anyway. So I'll just start at the top, up there where it says General Information, Instructor Paul Wallace. That's me. My office is Bullock 107W. That's this room I'm sitting in here. There it is. And that's 107W. In Bullock, my phone number is listed there. My email address now is going to be 404. I'm sorry. That's not an email address. It's a phone number. So email is, I will not be using my Agnes email address very much for this class. I've set up at Gmail, astronomy120@gmail.com. And I'll be emailing you later tonight from that address, and I want you to use that address. The reason for this is that I get a lot of other stuff in my other account, and I don't want assignments to get lost and looked over and this sort of thing. So in order to keep it all contained and in a nice little box, I've created our own email address. Everything that you turn in will be sent to that address. The required text. Let me see if I can find it around here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Different covers, okay? You might have the 10th edition. This is the 9th. I'll say more about this in a few minutes. I will have the 10th in a couple days. But it's called Universe, and it's by, let's see, Friedman, Geller, and Kaufman. So That's the required text, and it'll be the 10th edition is the one you'll need to be using. I'm going to skip a little bit about the purpose and goal. I believe that for the end. And get on down to the course objectives. Okay, so number 3, course objectives. The alert astronomy student, that is you, will do all 5 of these things. You'll be doing these things more or less on your own. And that to me is the real drawback of distance learning, is that you have to work entirely on your own. There's good things about that, but also negatives about that. So you'll be doing all these things on your own, unless you happen to live very near somebody else who's also enrolled in the class. You'll be doing a little bit of math, part A. Not too much math, but a little bit of algebra, maybe, that you haven't seen in a while, depending on what your background is. You'll also be observing and documenting the night sky. There are 2 assignments. One, observations of the moon, and the other one is an observation lab of Saturn and Mars, which are the 2 planets which are prominent in the sky this summer. And you'll be documenting and observing those. I'll say more about those labs later on. You'll also be using several pieces of astronomy software. In particular, one called Stellarium, which is a planetarium software program for showing you what the sky looks like. It's free. It's any platform you want, so not a big deal. That should be no trouble to get that. You will also demonstrate an understanding of planetary dynamics. Big words meaning how planets move and how they change themselves. And you'll also exhibit a knowledge of comparative planetology. That's another fancy way of basically saying you're going to be able to compare and contrast planets, and all the other planets are just as complex and interesting as the Earth is. So you'll get to know a lot about each of the planets themselves. Okay, so under course description here, I'm not going to get into too much of this. Like I said, I've already mentioned the fact that there are no regular lectures. Be more inquiry-based learning. Inquiry-based learning is essentially the idea, sort of the educational philosophy behind this, is the idea is that you learn more by doing stuff than you do by sitting in a lecture listening. Okay? Good and bad things about both, but in this class you'll be doing a lot of stuff rather than just absorbing. There is our daily readings, and there will be quizzes over the readings, but that's just one aspect of the course. We do assume that you know some simple algebra. You're college students or you've graduated from college already, so you know some simple algebra. That's assumed. If not, you'll get to learn a lot of it that you have forgotten. But it won't be too much, I think, and I think that if we stay in touch with each other, that we'll be able to get you through that. 3 parts. I should do it this way. 3 parts of the class. Okay? Readings and quizzes are 1 part. Projects are another, and labs are a 3rd. And down here at the bottom of the first page of the syllabus, it says, with one exception, there will be 2 requirements every day. Assigned reading and a project or a lab. You'll have either a project or a lab and an assigned reading every day. Over the weekend, or actually any time during the week that you want, you'll complete an online open book quiz over that week's reading. This quiz, you can open it any time during the week. As I'll tell you later, it'll be due at the end of the week. But you can open it any time of the week. Once you open it, you only have an hour to work on it. It's 20 questions. It's open book, okay? And so you'll have daily readings, which I'll say a little about later, and the quizzes. That's 1 part of the class, okay? Readings, quizzes. That's the more traditional lecture kind of stuff, just pure content. Let me say a few more words here about, let me see, anything else to say about readings and quizzes? Let me see. Readings will be, it says on the syllabus, between 15 and 25 pages in length, I think that will end up being a little bit on the shorter side. I think that'll be closer to 15, maybe even 10. The quizzes will be straightforward. A couple of them you'll have to really think on out of the 20, but most of them you can get pretty directly from the reading. So you'll have to have read fairly well in order to do well in the quizzes. Okay, and quizzes are due. Okay, so you have the readings, which are on the schedule, and then you have the quizzes are going to be due on Sunday nights at midnight, which is where everything for the week is due. Okay, everything for each week except for the last week, everything labs, projects, and the quiz are all due on midnight Sunday of every week. Okay. That way, if you have to skip a day of work, you can, but you've got to make it up. It will keep moving fast. Okay, so you can put it off for an afternoon or maybe even a whole day if you're ambitious the rest of the week. It makes it flexible for you. Everything every week is only 5 due dates. The first 4 Sundays and the last day of class, which is a Thursday. Okay, it's all spelled out in the syllabus. Okay, so that's readings and quizzes. Labs. There will be 10 labs in the class, and these are in general longer than the projects. Not always, but in general longer than the projects, and most require extensive computer work. Each one will take several hours to complete. If you are alert, which you all are, alert that is, you will give yourself plenty of time to work on these. Okay. Each lab counts 4% of the final grade, and altogether they count for 40% of your final grade. The readings and quizzes, the quizzes each count 3.53% of your final grade. That's a weird number, but it's explained in your syllabus. Altogether, your quizzes count for about 17 2/3% of your grade. Your labs count for 40%, and your projects, which are typically shorter and are more, they're less in general computer intensive. Projects are like labs, but tend to be shorter and more varied. Some will require computer work, but most do not. Some will engage your artistic ability, whether or not you think you have artistic ability, it's in there. Some will engage your verbal ability. Some will challenge you to visualize the universe in new ways, but all are centered on the solar system. They're all about the solar system. A great place to call home. Each project counts the same as a quiz, which is 3.53% of your grade. So altogether, your projects actually count the most of any part of the class, 42 and about 1/3%. Okay. On Moodle, every project and every lab will have its own forum. Okay, you can see this if you scroll down on the Moodle site. It'll have its own forum for asking questions. I'll be checking the forums. You can answer each other's questions. That's where you go for help. Okay, on a given project or given lab, go not to the news forum at top, okay, but to the forum for that project or lab. Okay. Required software, you need to have Java on your machine. You probably already do, but if not, you need to go download it from java.com, and also Stellarium I mentioned earlier, which you can go and download from stellarium.org. That's here on the bottom of page 2 of your syllabus. Lateness, pretty standard deal. Every day that a project or lab is late, you can't do quizzes late. Okay, quizzes close, and that's that. You have to do your quizzes on time. There's no makeup for quizzes. There's no late. Basically, if your quiz is late, that's it. That's it. But late labs and projects will be accepted with a 10% penalty every day up till 5 days. After that, I don't take it anymore. It's just a plain old 0. Okay. Let's see. Honor code, standard stuff. Grading scale, standard stuff. Evaluation of final grades, number 8. There on the bottom of page 3. As I've already indicated. Okay. Quizzes, 3.53% each for almost 18% of your final grade. Labs are 4% each for 40% of your final grade. Projects are 3.53% each for about 42% of your final grade. Now this, the next to last page of your assignment, here this, there you see there, is important. This is the deadline schedule. Like I said, there are 5 deadlines only in this class. And you can see on this schedule what's due when. Sunday, June 1st, your 2 projects from the first week and your 2 labs from the first week are due, and your quiz is due. All deadlines are at midnight, actually 11:59. Okay, I should have put there all deadlines at 11:59 because that's the way I had to set it up on Moodle. If I call it midnight, it'll put it on the next day. So I might actually change that on your syllabus to read all deadlines at 11:59 just to be clear. And finally, the last deadline is Thursday, the last day of class, June 26th at midnight. And you can see there, just read across from a given date what's due. So, for example, on Sunday, 22nd of June, 3 projects are due 9, 10, and 11. 2 labs are due 7 and 8. 1 quiz is due 4. That's a lot. Again, it's a lot. You're going to be working a lot in this class, moving forward, maybe more quickly than you're happy about. But there is a lab involved, like I said, so it's a lot of work. Okay, that's all fine and good. Now the last schedule, the last page of your syllabus looks like this. Here you go. Look at all that there. And it's your daily schedule. Tells you what to do each day. Okay. You had, so for example, Tuesday, May 27th. The best way to do the class is to do the thing assigned that day on that day. Okay, so on Tuesday you should do project 1. Okay, and read in your textbooks sections F, G, and K. That's your textbook. 1.1 and 1.5, 6, and 7 at the bottom there in italics of Tuesday the 27th, right there. Right there, just Tuesday 27th, project 1. The bottom F, G, and K, 1, 1, 1, 5, 1, 6, 1, 7. That's what's due on that day. Actually, not due on that day, but you should do it on that day so that you can turn it in nice and easy later. And you can turn it in any time during the week. You don't have to wait till Sunday night. That's just when it's all due. Okay. And then the next day, Wednesday, lab 1, the dome of the sky. That's a stellarium lab. Do it that day. Be done with it. Turn it in that day. That's fine. Send it on in. And then so forth and so on all the way through. Okay? So that's how it runs all the way through. And you notice at the end, like on Friday here, it says, you got a little arrow there beside the quiz. Quiz 1 arrow, that means you can take it until Sunday. Just saying you don't have to do it that day. There's no reason why you need to take it that day on Friday, but you have to do it before the Sunday coming up. Okay, unlike the last quiz, which you actually have to do which is due on the 26th, and you don't have to do it later over the weekend because that weekend there will be no class. Class will be done. Okay, now I do need to say one thing here about the projects and labs. If you go on Moodle and look at, say, Project 1, okay, you will see Project 1, it's a PDF. Okay, that is the actual thing that you print out or that you actually read as you step through the project. And then there's a worksheet that you do. The worksheet is a Word document, a docx file, and that's what you need to fill out and put your answers on and send to me. Okay, that's what you turn in. The only reason it's done this, I had to do it that way, is because I use PDFs in a different, I don't use Word, I use a different program for creating my documents, and they only come out as PDFs, they're not editable, and so I needed to make a worksheet that you could edit and type in the answers and send to me. So the PDFs for every lab and project are what you read through, and then there's a worksheet, and you turn in the worksheet. Okay, that's a doc file. Everybody can edit those in some form or fashion. So send that in. Okay. Now let me just say a few words about the class itself. What we're doing. You're going to be introduced to the solar system. Now, when you were young, when you were really small, you were. Let me grab this. This is in black and white. You might have seen pictures like this, you know. with the little sun and all the little planets going around it very happily on these nice little tracks, like a little racetrack or something. The solar system is sometimes you see this, with little faces, little, anthropomorphic features on the planets. But the real solar system is quite a bit different than that. These aren't little marbles and not little happy people rolling around the sun. They're worlds. They're very complicated. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, all of them are worlds unto themselves. And you're going to be exploring those worlds in this class, and also the solar system as a whole, which is much bigger, much more interesting, much more dynamic, much more varied and rich than you probably have any idea about if you've not studied this stuff before. It's not just a sun with 8 planets rolling around it, or 9 as it was back before 2006. When Pluto was demoted in August 2006, I told my son about it. He was 6 at the time, and he said, "Well, Daddy, where did Pluto go?" He thought it had, disappeared, but in fact, it's still out there. It just has a different. It's not a planet anymore. I'll talk a little bit about why that is in the class. We'll bring up Pluto, and I keep Pluto around for other reasons too. I kind of like Pluto. Pluto is kind of like the the crazy uncle you keep in the attic, and don't bring him down when the nice, decent folks come over. So I like Pluto for that reason, and we'll talk more about Pluto later on. But even putting Pluto aside, the solar system is an amazing place. And I hope for you to start getting an idea of that. This place we call home is really amazing. And just in the last 20 years, really, 25 years, we've discovered hundreds of other solar systems out there. Until the 90s, mid-90s, we did not know, maybe early 90s, we did not know of any other solar systems, any other planets out there orbiting any other stars. But lo and behold, they're out there. But we're going to start, local. Start with our own. It's pretty fascinating. It's pretty cool. And I really, really hope you get something out of this class. And feel free to contact me by email. I will do my very, very best to respond. I will definitely respond within 24 hours. I'll try to get responses quicker than that. I don't want to feel like a manager, just managing these documents for you. I want to actually have contact with you. And email and forums and so forth are of limited power, but that's what we have. So we're going to do what we can with that. And very best to you this semester. And if you're local, feel free to come by my office here. One of you already has. 3 of you already have. But if you are local now, if you're going to be around campus or nearby, please come by to meet me. And always feel free to contact me by email, astronomy120@gmail.com. Look forward to it, and I think that about covers the ground for today. Welcome to the class, and let's do this thing. All right, y'all.